Okay. Good morning, everyone. Morning where I am anyway. Welcome to the November meeting of the CentOS Automotive Special Interest Group here in CentOS land. We are getting toward the end of the year, so we've got a lot of kind of year-end stuff going on and a few exciting things to discuss. So hopefully we'll have an interesting call. Let's see a few other people showing up. Looks good. So by way of technical status, Leo, you might be better able to kind of talk through some of these things than I am, but I can do a quick overview and then maybe hand it over to Leo for a few words. The one very interesting thing is that there was a container solution published on the Red Hat blog. There's been a lot of talk about containers in cars, and this is one of the things that I was hoping that oh, Pierre, you are here. I see. So maybe you would want to talk through the container solution published on the Red Hat blog.
We can talk about it for sure.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just diving into the technical status. So I don't know if we have a separate slide on that or not. But the nightly images are available now with faster downloads. Did we move to a faster server? I'm trying to remember now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we may have covered this before though, but it's
oh, that's possible.
We moved to we did move to a different server, which gave us faster downloads.
Okay. Well, these are all pretty basic things. Are there any other items of technical status that our intrepid folks should be aware of?
I think the SOFI compatible image is something that we didn't cover before. So it's one image that was created. In our sample image repositories, we have a number of image definition, and one of them aims to reproduce a little bit what the SOFI v1 demo was demonstrating. And correct me on the version number. I think it was v1. So it's a basic image system. It has a Podman as container runtime, and it bundles in a sample container image that you can start on boot and query. And so it demonstrates it basically reproduce, and you can easily it includes some things that makes the integration with AWS easier as well. So it's there is, I believe we have there is a script that helps you to transform the image into an AMI that you can upload to AWS and then just start from there. So it very much replicates the SOFI v1 demonstration that was Yocto-based, but this one is using the sample images, AutoSD, and the RPM binary.
Yes, and that is a very interesting thing. We are the first distribution separate from the eWall distribution within the SOFI project to be supportive or compatible with the specification. The specification, by the way, was not published in the R1 release, but I believe it is planning to be. There will be a published version in the R2 release, which is coming up very, very soon. So I don't think it's actually out yet, but yes, we are compatible with it, and I did a talk on this at ARM Dev Summit, which I will mention in a little bit. But one of the interesting things also that we wanted to talk about was the container solution. Should we go ahead and talk about that now?
Sure. So the blog post goes a little bit about what the different requirements we've gathered from different discussions with a number of OEMs and industries member. And one of the requirements that is leading our thoughts is also the fact that we want to be FUSA certified. We want to be FUSA certified on the container runtime, but also so that containers can be used to run FUSA certified application as well. So we won't be provided. AutoSD is not providing any FUSA certified application. ProAutoSD is not FUSA certified as well. But Red Hat, as part of its development of the Red Hat in-vehicle OS, do want to be FUSA certified. So we are looking into using Podman and systemd for this. There are a few things. We want to Podman has the ability of using Kubernetes YAML, and so one of the developer experience that we are envisioning would be a place where you would have a Kubernetes YAML. You would have a Kubernetes YAML, on your Git repository on your disk, and you would be able to use OC apply, OC login to log into your OpenShift cluster, OC apply to this Kubernetes YAML, and that would automatically deploy your application on OpenShift. You could be able to test your containers there. You could be able to see how it reacts. You could be able to do a number of things that you would do in OpenShift. And then when the time comes to deploy that application, then you would point Podman to this Kubernetes YAML, and then Podman would be redeploying locally the application using containers, using the same mechanism, but then without the Kubernetes overhead. And something that Alexander Larsson is looking at is he had a project named Quadlet, and this project is being moved or is being merged into Podman itself. And the idea of Quadlet is to be able to have systemd services files that contains metadata specific for Podman that basically tells systemd how to set up Podman to run the containerized application as a service, as a systemd service. So you would be able to have a systemd service that contains the metadata for Podman to deploy the application, and then Podman, it probably would be so. The mechanism isn't quite clear yet. It could be next to the .service file, you would have a .yaml file, or you would have a pass in the metadata in the .service file that points to the Kubernetes YAML. So you would have a mechanism in place by which systemd would be able to tell Podman, these are the instructions how to start the containers, and this is the Kubernetes YAML that you need to use to configure the application the way we want it to be. So using all of this, you end up with something which is pretty interesting, because you have something that is very well known. Systemd is part of pretty much every and any Linux system today, or the major ones are relying on systemd. It's a very well known piece of technology, very well tested piece of technology. It is consistent. Systemd tells you a service is running, the service is running. If it tells you the service is not running, the service is not running. You have a very consistent state meshing here. There are a number of things systemd can do for you. Automatic restart upon failures, for example. You could say, well, if the service fails, you need to restart it. If you restart it 3 times and it's still failing, then you stop retrying. So these are things that are not correct, that we are not reinventing the wheels here. We're relying on something that is well known, well tested, and well, that system administrators in general are well aware of and already relying. And then we leverage Quadlet to integrate into this well-known workflows working with systemd, but then to do the Podman side. So the idea is that when you work on all of this, you end up with Kubernetes YAML on the one hand. So the developer set up the Kubernetes YAML and is able to reproduce and tweak or configure the way the application should be deployed. And on the other side, you have a systemd service file, but you practically don't have to tend to run Podman at all. It's transparent to you. Either you're working with OpenShift and then using the Kubernetes YAML, or you're working with systemd, and systemd is the one that talks to Podman for you. So the exact way Podman is configured to launch the application becomes something that is part of systemd itself, and you don't have to go into details of this. And the idea is that we want, or Red Hat as a whole wants to bring this to have this workflow to be functionally safe certified. So that's our aspiration at the moment. we've looked at what it would take to have OpenShift in the car. What would be and when I'm saying OpenShift, I mean Kubernetes and derivative, Microshift, K3s, and all of these. So we've been hitting in the blog post as to some of the reason why we believe this may not be the best use case for this, or well, these tools may not be the best suited for the requirements that we have gathered. But clearly, the functional safety aspect of them is really one of the aspects that has driven our decisions or our strengths out here. If you don't have the functional safety, if you're only interested in QM applications, then you probably can have a different look at the problem.
Pierre, I have a question. This is Anmar from Linaro. So I understand that Quadlet, I think I love the idea of basically recycling all the infrastructure that's already there. So using systemd, thumbs up, that makes a lot of sense. Now, just so for my own complete understanding, so basically the idea is that Quadlet via systemd will initiate the original set of, but then when it comes to dynamically interacting with the containers, if you would say halfway you wanted to start a container or stop it, that will continue to happen via Podman and OpenShift and Kubernetes. So systemd is just upon boot, and then that's it, or it continues to be that.
No, it continues. Danish,
yeah, there's no Kubernetes involved at all.
Okay.
This is just systemd managing Podman containers. So think of this as, I mean, Kubernetes is all about eventual correctness. In this case, this is just these are services running in systemd that happen to be containerized.
So systemd would still be the way you would start and stop containers. If you want to restart a container, you still systemd restarts services.
Gotcha.
And it becomes
so
the fact that the service is the fact that
instead of thinking of these as cloud services, just think of these as normal services on a regular RHEL server.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, the main difference is that you could also use them in a context where there is Kubernetes, like in testing or whatnot, where you would have an entire cluster. But that wouldn't be the same metadata about like describing the application can be used in both contexts. But when you're in a context that runs on the car, there is just no Kubernetes.
So just one way. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Pierre, I guess we supplied full and complete information. I did post the link to the blog post. It's already gotten a ton of traffic, I know, and we did discuss it briefly in the next thing we're going to talk about as well, which is ARM Dev Summit. I did a talk this last month. It was last week, I guess, at Dev Summit, which is an ARM conference. It's all online. I believe registration is free, so I wanted to throw a shout out to that. There were several other discussions about SOFI. I think mine was the only one that covered CentOS or AutoSD. But definitely stop by ARM Dev Summit. There's a bunch of really good talks there, including a bunch on SOFI. We did already kind of go over the fact that we have a SOFI compatible image now. It's over here. It is a regular non-OS tree-based QEMU image built for SOFI users. It has a script that you can be used to connect to an Amazon Web Service instance. And it's all really good stuff. So yeah, definitely go take a look. And yes, definitely kudos to Igal and to Leo for this this work on the SOFI image. I know it was not easy to get all that into place. So very well done. So that's, I think, about all I've got on the agenda. We have time this month to talk about whatever we want to talk about. If there's anybody has any questions about getting images up and running, or about the process, this is a great time to do that. We usually devolve into a hardware discussion eventually. So,
Are
so
you looking for hardware?
that's a really good question. John, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is John Humphreys. I work for Texas Instruments, and so I had run across. I attended the ELISA workshop at ELCE in September, and Texas Instruments manufactures a number of devices that go into automotive applications. So, having automotive certified applications is something of interest to us. And I was curious of how the state of the art had progressed in terms of FUSA with Linux. Very encouraging to see you guys, Red Hat's making really good progress there. TI makes a number of devices that have, they're all ARM SoC based Linux capable devices that have different accelerators that are targeted for the automotive market. So, it's something that a market we're very interested in, very active in. And we have a number of boards, so that's why I ask. If you guys are looking for boards, I could probably get you boards.
Well, the nice thing about CentOS is that it is a playground, so we would love to have boards to play with and to port, or to help you port.
Okay.
Do any of them
John?
currently run? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeff. Continue.
I was just going to ask if any of them currently run CentOS already.
So I'm not aware of that, but that's certainly something that we could play around with. Most of our customers are Yocto distribution based, and so that certainly works well on it. We are system ready IR compatible, okay. So I would expect that CentOS should work. But I haven't tried it myself or know someone who has. I'd be happy to help, though, in exploring that.
Definitely. And Mar, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, apologies.
Sure.
I have a brand new ISP provider, and they're still tweaking my network, so there's a bit of delay. Actually, I was going to ask John if the hardware system ready IR certified or not. It sounds like it is, so that is an interesting observation. Because sometimes we are on the look for some hardware targets for some device.
So I should be careful and be formal here. I don't know. I'm not claiming we have formal system ready IR certification. I don't know the status of that, but our U-boot supports the basic pieces, and our hardware is very much compliant with the standards. So.
Yeah. Ideally, it would be nice if you have support upstream and at least ACS passes on the board. If it does, I think pretty much for all intents and purposes, it's just ready IR. Ready.
Cool.
Thanks, John.
So yeah, let's definitely get an offline discussion going. I think we'd love to see some alternative hardware in here, in the SIG, and the SIG is really the ideal place for it.
Okay.
We have plans, I think, to explore a bunch of other different hardware opportunities and alternatives. So, yeah, let's have a discussion.
So, who are the right people to talk to? Is that
probably myself to start with? I would probably bring Pierre in, and Dan, you might want to be part of this as well if you're still around. So.
I am. Yeah, I would like to be part of that.
Excellent. Dan is our product manager for the Red Hat in-vehicle operating system, for which the CentOS Automotive SIG is the direct upstream. So
perfect.
Good folks to talk to.
So Jeffrey, we're going to set up a meeting pretty soon, right? And I'd like to pull in some other TIers so we can get a good conversation. We'll actually get a good level set of the landscape. I think we need to catch up a bit. But then we can also start talking about the hardware platforms that are available and what we could contribute.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Okay.
On the subject of hardware alternatives, one thing I did want to mention is that as everybody knows, I think I'm fairly plugged into the RISC-V community, and there is now a RISC-V automotive special interest group within the RISC-V ISA community. It's only met once, and there's not a whole lot of, everybody knows there's not a whole lot of hardware available at the moment, but we're hoping to get some good discussions going there as well. Kind of branch out a little bit, and I'm hoping that the reason I'm mentioning is because I'm hoping it will eventually filter down into AutoSD, so we can get some interesting connections made there. As I said, I have reached the end of my presentation. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring up, anybody have any difficulty running or playing with the release? It's a great time to do so. And if not, then I can actually let people go half an hour early. These meetings have kind of settled into about a half an hour cadence, and I think that's probably a good thing, particularly for our friends in Europe. Although you're an hour earlier now, is that right? No,
Just for the week.
just for this week.
Wait for Sunday, and then when you
Right.
change time, then we'll back on the regular schedule.
That's right. Okay. Well, please make sure to catch up with us also on the mailing list and on. Do I have links up? I thought I had links at the end. Maybe I don't. Nope. The mailing list. Do I not have these links up anywhere? This is not good. Anyway, there's a mailing list. There is a Matrix channel. If you need any links, just drop me a line. I am jeffrowe@redhat.com. And I guess we'll see you all in a month. Definitely take a look at the ARM Dev Summit talks. Obviously take a look at our Sophie image, and have a good time.
Thanks, Jeffro.
Thank you, everybody. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.